All right, so everybody, welcome to the live stream. Archana, the first person, shout out to you, my man. Hi, he says. WWE, yes, you noticed the belt. That's actually quite a good prop, right? So obviously, I'm not the type of person that would walk around with a WWE belt. Maybe Keo Alexi says yellow belly, whatever that means. Yeah, I mean, you know, I hope you have a happy life, whoever you are, with no profile picture type of person. But on any regard, yeah, shout out to all of you that are throwing out the likes and whatnot. So you say that one more time, I'm going to ban you. So what you have is about approximately 30 seconds to correct yourself, or I'm going to ban you for a several amount of minutes. Danny says hello. How you doing, Danny? So I have a very interesting conversation with you guys. Jack says Jesus loves you and is coming back soon. Believe and repent. All right. Archana says best content. Thank you very much. So Keo is going to get put on a timeout right here. So you're going on a 5-minute timeout. Thank you. So with that in mind, what I want to discuss with you guys is a couple of things. Now, if you look at the thumbnail right now, it says colonizers versus warlords, Project 2025. Misty Miner says hi. How you doing? So why am I, do I have any pets? No, I do not. But if you do, please care to share on the chat if you have any, and if there's, yeah, if there's any type of special type of accommodation that you have to make to that particular instant. Walsey says hello. How you doing? All right, so Project 2025. Obviously, I think a lot of people are sort of mistaken the fact that Donald Trump is running things in America. But what if I was to tell you that it's Elon Musk behind the scenes that is running things? Now, obviously, he has a position with Doge, but what exactly does that mean in comparison to his overall influence as far as his position in the government. Archana says, do you know Hindi? No, I do not. Do you know how to speak? I wish I do, but if you care to share one day and teach me, I would love to learn. And by the way, let me know what part of India you are from. Misty Miner says, I'm your biggest fan. Is that right? Well, in what way would you be my biggest fan? Have you watched all of my YouTube content? Have you seen all of my live streams? If so, please let me know. I'm very flattered to hear that. And of course, I welcome anybody here that shows a deep appreciation for my content and what it is that I deliver, because I try to deliver very diverse content, of course MMA based, but what's beautiful about MMA is that it is a sport that encompasses a whole wide range of different subjects. For example, let's take a look at this Dricus Du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev fight, right? What's interesting about this fight is obviously Khamzat Chimaev comes from a country that is war-torn and is ran by a ruthless warlord by the name of Ramzan Kadyrov. And Archa says, I'm a good man. Thank you. Bard Rock Red Band says, are you Muslim? Yes, I am very proud. And of course, I am practicing Ramadan in this current moment of time. I am currently fasting. I just finished eating breakfast before the sun came down, and so I prayed right after. So here I am, sort of opening the day with you guys. The best way to sort of kill time, well, not kill time, but utilize time in a very positive manner. So going back to Dricus Du Plessis, there's a lot of controversy behind his past. Obviously, Izzy, when they fought, he sort of hinted at the fact that, hey, you know what? This Dricus Du Plessis guy is a colonizer. He even calls him the C word with racial undertones attached to it. Now, why did he do that? The reason why he did that is for the simple fact that, hey, you know what? This guy has a background that is Dutch, that is French, and obviously not indigenous to the land of Africa. Okay, so Adrian says, how is your day going? Very good, my man. And anybody else that's going to say anything derogatory in here, or if it's a language that I don't know, I can only hope that you're saying something appropriate. But Siraj here, Rachud, I don't know what that means, but Archana, if you would like to translate what this man is saying to me, I would gladly appreciate that. And everybody else that's saying anything derogatory, I'm just going to ignore you. And you probably have about 1 minute to correct yourself. Otherwise, I'm going to ban you off this chat. So there it is. So, okay, now the other topic of this discussion, obviously, that you see on the thumbnail is Alexander Usyk. And what's crazy about this, I titled on the thumbnail, Colonizers versus Warlords, Project 2025. And once again, like I said, the reason why it's great to have mixed martial arts conversations is because you really can't disattach yourself from the political aspects of the game. For example, Khamzat Chimaev has had a hard time coming to the United States to compete for one reason or another. Now, as a result of that, well, now Donald Trump is in office, and as a result of him being in office, perhaps maybe there is an influence by Dana White, being that he has a strong relationship with Donald Trump, to perhaps maybe try and pursue some sort of reverse of that decision. Now, why is it that Khamzat Chimaev isn't even allowed to come to the United States, and all these other Russian fighters are allowed to come here with no problem at all? Well, obviously, his ties with Ramzan Kadyrov is very deep. It is one thing to be, let's say, a guest of Ramzan Kadyrov. Obviously, Henry Cejudo at one time was a guest of Ramzan Kadyrov. Justin Gaethje, Chris Weidman, even though it was a very negative experience that he had, I urge you to take a look at that. Ramzan Kadyrov sort of hinted that he wanted Chris Weidman to fight a bunch of 185 Dagestanis and Chechnyans to the death in his own private quarters. which is interesting, but to say the least. But yeah, take a look at that. So, hello, James here says, so here's the thing that you're trying to insinuate with that, James. Do you feel better about yourself that you're insinuating all of these things? And by the way, here's the thing, right? There are certain stereotypes that they have about Muslims and things of that nature, right? And it sort of is hinting at the emoji that you have. But if you think about it, is it really such a negative stereotype? Now, obviously, there's other races of people out there that have even more negative stereotypes or just as equal to it. But when you think about it, why is it a negative stereotype that a person has the capabilities of hurting you or hurting anybody around you or any moment of time, and then here you are in your Western living and comfort that you think you can just come in here and say all these things in hopes that you can hurt my feelings, but in reality, you're just a pathetic human being who tries to feel better about yourself, probably has no real profile picture, no real standings on YouTube or anything of that sort, and then here you are making all these weird remarks or whatever. And I'm not even going to mention your name to any extent, right? But if you feel better about yourself, just understand that you're being roasted right now and for a very good reason. And you need to reflect upon the sins that you are committing upon yourself and the transgressions that you are upon right now. But with that in mind, understand that none of that is hurting anyone. You're not saying anything groundbreaking or anything new. So I suggest that you repent yourself, or otherwise I'm going to kick you out of the chat. So there's that. Mihailo says, I have tried to stop drinking, smoking. Unfortunately, after 2 weeks, I broke my streak today. Well, you have to start somewhere, right? Although I did notice that there is a significant change in the 21-day effect. They say that if you do a habit for 21 straight days, it becomes a strong habit for you, maybe for a lifetime or a very long time. For example, if you have a weight loss journey or something to that extent, let's say you want to start today. Let's say you start today in that weight loss journey. Guess what happens? It's one day, then the next day, then the next day, and next thing you know, it's 21 days. And guess what? That pattern of life that you are now breeding into yourself becomes a habit. So he also says here, I try to work on my cardio before I begin MMA because I start MMA training, I will have no stamina. Yeah, that's a good one right there. He says here that I'm going to have a bacon sandwich. Well, good luck with having a high cholesterol and having health problems along the way, because I could look up many articles that show you how negative pork can be to your body. But if you want to celebrate that in ways to feel better about yourself, well, by the end of the day, it is you who's not going to feel better about yourself, because look at you. You're over here in the middle of the morning or whatever part of the world you are from, making all these strange comments in order to try to incite a reaction out of me. But the reality is that you have no idea that I've seen these things over and over again, and it's not really anything new, and you can't affect me in any kind of way. And another thing about that is that if you were to meet with me in person, there is no way in absolute hell that you would do anything to me, and there is no way in absolute hell that you would beat me in a fight, because I've trained with some of the best fighters in the world. On top of that, I'm in great shape. I'm in a very extremely athletic shape. In fact, I could show you all my workout videos that would absolutely make you feel bad about yourself. And that's just the reality of it. So enjoy the cancerous food that you are going to consume based on the fact that you are just trying to hurt my feelings, which obviously doesn't work. Mihailo says, don't let the trolls get to you. Not at all. I am an Orthodox Christian and I do not make fun of other religions. Well, very good. And that is a sign that you're a good person. And the thing is that there's a lot of people out there that are not very good people. And look, here's the thing. Mihailo serves a very good example of this, right? Because here's a man who has his own profile picture, his own real name, because obviously this doesn't look like a fake name to any degree, and he's putting himself out there in a way where, like, hey, you know what? This is how I act online, and this is how I act in real life. So that unfortunately, there are some people that are not like that in any kind of way. So they have to feel better about themselves. But on any regard, I don't need to do that to feel better about myself. I have a lot of reasons to feel better about myself. And unfortunately, you will never understand that tip in the way that I understand it, because you are a low frequency human being, and you probably need to go and die somewhere. And that's that. So Adrian says, I am an Orthodox to my brother. That's what's up, man. Texas Born says, Allahu Akbar. That's what's up, Texas Born. I probably don't need to ask where you are from or where you were born. Your name says it all, and I appreciate the sentiments on that. So back to the topic at hand, right? Let's start with Khamzat Chimaev and Dricus Du Plessis. Hi, I am your biggest fan. Again, yeah, my name is, see, the thing is Missy, because that's, okay. So, well, explain to me why you are my biggest fan, and what is it about my channel that that sort of gives you positive vibes? What is it about my content that I deliver? Because I absolutely appreciate good feedback. What I don't appreciate are just random trolls or this and that, which is fine. You can troll all you want, but all I'm going to do is absolutely tear you apart in an intellectual matter and show you that you just have nothing but low emotional intelligence, and that's that. John Miller says, you feeling good? Thank you, brother. Yes, I'm feeling very good. Obviously, I just went and had breakfast before the sun came down and prayed for the morning. So here I am ready to talk about some good MMA, world politics, and some boxing today, because obviously there is an announcement for the possibility of Usyk's next fight. Daniel Joy says, let's see how ripped you are, bro. You're ready to fight. So, Daniel Joyce, I don't know what you're trying to refer to as that. You have to understand something, right? So fighting is not, it's not a bodybuilding contest, right? This is one of the biggest problems that a lot of gym bros have, is that they think that because they have biceps or this and that, that they think they can fight. Look, your body is not equipped to handle combat in that kind of way. Because let's be honest, bodybuilding workouts are very easy. Think about it. You barely do any sweats or anything like that. As a matter of fact, maybe I'll show you guys a bit of some small example of the workouts that I do, and then we'll go on from there. Let me see if I can pull this up right here. So this is actually for my live stream. So you have it's okay, bro, but you okay? Well, I'm gonna show you right now. Okay. Just a little example. Tyson Fury isn't muscular, but is a world champion. Very true. So, thank you, Raptors. That's what I'm talking about, right? Yeah, of course I record myself in the gym, because you know what? I'm a beast. Look at all the things that I can do in the gym. You can't do half of the things that I can do in the gym, bro. Come on, man. You're absolutely pathetic, bro. You know what I mean? And then more of this. Hold on a second. Hold on. because you got to understand, this guy is talking about how, okay, you know, show us what you can do or this and that. I'm showing you what I could do. So, oh, let me, that's 100 pounds, by the way. Look at that. Can you do that? Can you lift 100 pounds over your head like that? Can you do that? Could I take no? Obviously no. That's not the Raptors. That's my answer to that. The answer would be no. That's 100 pounds right there. How many of you can lift 100 pounds with that? What is your effing problem? Hello, my name. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, get him, bro. Get him. That's what I'm talking about. Look at that. Look at that. Can you do that? Can you do that? Oh, and by the way, there's more. 100 pounds, by the way, is way harder than y'all think. Bro is an effing beast. That's what I'm talking about, bro. You know, you guys are not on my physical level. You need to understand that. You need to understand the pecking order of human beings. I am on a different level. And I'm not saying this out of cockiness or arrogance or anything like that. Yo, bro, I'm just being honest. If we were to fight right now, I would hurt you badly. If you're not a UFC fighter, if you're not a top 10 guy or anything like that, yeah, I can curl 60 pounds at 20 reps. Bro, curls are absolutely meaningless. They are absolutely meaningless. Look, let me show you my vertical leap, my high vertical leap. You guys don't even know what you're dealing with, bro. You don't know what you're dealing with. Let me show you my vertical leap right here. Hold on. Let me turn off the music on this one. Look at this. Can you bozos do that? Can any of you bozos do that? I'll bet you can't. I can physically is different compared to mine. I can lift as much as you. Yeah. Of course, man. Let's see that again. Look at that. Look at this. Look at the height on that. Do you see how I jumped from one? I subscribe. Respect, bro. Also want to hear your opinions on the fights coming. Yeah, absolutely. We're going to get to that. Oh, don't you worry about that. So, let me show you a little bit of some shadow boxing here, okay? Just to kind of put in perspective what kind of human being you guys are dealing with. Look, you guys need to understand that you can't just talk this smack and think that you're going to get away with it, man. I'm going to show receipts at all mother effing times, bro. All times I'm going to show receipts. I'm going to show you how much I'm better than you because I am. I'm not just saying that for no reason. I'm saying that because that's real. You are not on my level. None of you guys are on my level. So, I mean, a few of you are. Obviously, there's a few of you here that train and this and that. Some of you here are real legitimate fighters. That's absolutely something that I respect. But you need to respect what I could do because... Oh, and how about this? This is me kicking shins right here. This is me kicking a pole. This is me kicking a pole right here. A steel pole wrapped with red tape. Okay? You pathetic human beings, you. Look at this. Look at that. Bang! Bang! Look at that. Bang! Look at that. That's your ribs. Bang! Look at that. Those are your shins. Bang! Look at that. That's your head. Bang! Bang! Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. You pathetic English trash. Look at that. Look at that, you English trash. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Can you do that? Can you do that? Y'all can't do this, bro. Y'all ain't doing none of this. Y'all ain't doing none of this. Ain't doing none of this. All right, let me show you one more little shadow, not shadow, just some bag work right here. Let me show, and then I could actually put the music on in this one. A gun is better. Toxic. Hey, let me tell you something. I'm not delusional about that at all. Luke B, why are you talking like that? Because I'm passionate. Do you know what it means to be passionate in any kind of way? All right, here we go. My man here says you could tell he's a trained fighter, fluid movement and precise. Exactly, my man. Exactly. I would unalive most of you in the chat. I'm sorry, bro, but man, I'm sorry. If you're not a UFC fighter, you can't mess with me at all. If you're not a Navy SEAL, you're not a Special Forces guy, you're not a trained fighter or a WBC champion or a Muay Thai champion or anything like that, or an NCAA champion, you can't mess with me. I would hurt most of you, and you just need to understand that. Boom, see that? Punch, and then right in your face, holding your face down while punching you. Treat you like you're a dog, bro. Treat you like a dog, man. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Boom, flying knee, bow, right in your face. Boom, another punch to follow along with it. What up, cuz? What up, blood? What up? What up, blood? What up, cuz? Boom, right in your face. It's all in the feet. That's right. That's right. All in the feet, man. All in the feet. I thought you were listening to me. I'm clearly making you mad. No, you're not making me mad at all. You know what? Here's the thing. I love that I get to have receipts to prove that I'm physically better than you. That's just the reality of it. That's just the reality of it, man. You know, you can't mess with science, bro. You can't mess with science. Like, physical science doesn't lie. So here's the thing, right? A lot of you guys like to talk behind bravado, right? I've seen this plenty of times, right? I've been in several different types of jobs in different offices where dudes think that they're like all tough and mighty and this and that. I'm like, all right, bet, bro. Let's go to the gym. Let's find out who the real man is around here, right? You know, let's go on the bench press. Let's go on the, one-arm snatches. Let's go on the vertical leaps. Let's go in the runs. Let's go do the swimming. Man, I smoke every single one of them. Every single one of them. Now, obviously, yes, there are lots of high-level athletes out there. It just so happens that guys who talk smack like you online with an anonymous name just are not that. You are not that guy. So please understand, know your role, and shut your mouth. And that's really all there is to it. So, no, you're not making me mad at all. I think this is entertaining. What you don't understand is that I love to prove myself on a constant basis. You know what I mean? Like, I love it. So, no one is a tough man. We are good at different things. Correct. But, you know, sometimes you got to let some people know what it is. Okay, so let's get back to talking about some fights so that, you know, I don't have to constantly prove myself and then looking like an absolute narcissist of a thing. But, hey, that's really what it is. Okay, real quick, do a little piss break real quick. Hold on, okay? What is that phrase that the British, I'm not your fan. I'm not your fan. I don't understand what you mean by that. But anyways, yeah, someone says here, okay. Rapster says, I'm on a journey. 1 mil push-ups, pull-ups, pray for a rotator cuff, bro, trying to get better. Okay, so okay, that's awesome. Uh, Miner says, I'm not your fan. I don't understand why. I will, but I will mole you into a wrestling. Okay, you know what? I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that at all. I mean, obviously you're Russian, right? So that's just what they do in Russia. But you know, in America, obviously there's a lot of great wrestling programs here too. Most of the MMA gyms out here highly emphasize a lot on wrestling. I think Khabib, he emphasizes a lot on wrestling, by the way. Hello from Yugoslavia. All right. Shout outs to Yugoslavia tapping in. Because I don't like you, I don't have, oh, okay. Because I don't like you, I don't have to be your fan. I don't understand what that means. You said earlier that you are the biggest fan, but okay, there's Keo Alexi again, saying a whole bunch of things. Okay, so understand this, right? What you're doing is you're actually helping my algorithm. So thank you very much. All the love and the hate, it's all the same. It literally is, yeah, you know, it literally is all the same. It helps with the algorithm. But you know what you do get is you get another 5-minute timeout. All right, so see you again for 5 minutes and whatnot. So let's get to the topic at hand, right? The topic at hand is what do you call it? Khamzat Chimaev and Dricus Du Plessis. Now, Adrian says, you know, he's been wrestling since he was 14. That's quite a, well, you know what? In comparison to American kids that wrestle, I mean, there's a lot of kids out here that have wrestled since they were 3 years old. And I'm sure in Russia, even younger, right? I think Khabib started wrestling when he was like 2. So, yes, sir. I pray you make it big, Adrian, bro. And that shit is a tyrant as F. Yeah, same likewise, Adrian. You know, I do hope that you do get into your MMA journey. And, you know, I see you one day so that I can brag about, hey, you know what? I had Adrian in my chats and this and that, you know, dissing other trolls and then helping me diss other trolls as well. So, the wrestling is going to be a big factor with the fight between Dricus Du Plessis and Khamzat Chimaev. Now, look, I think straight off the bat, once that bell rings in round 1, what Khamzat Chimaev is going to do is he's going to shoot in for a takedown straight away. Straight away, he's going to shoot in for that takedown. It's not training. It's like traditional. We have a coaching club at the church. Okay. Reluctant Gamer says Khamzat Chimaev is fighting who? Dricus Du Plessis, because obviously Dricus Du Plessis is the champion, and I believe it's been a long time coming for Khamzat Chimaev to get his title shot. What surprised me about this is that, is it surprising to anybody that Ankalaev got the title before Khamzat did? Although I think Ankalaev has been fighting in the UFC for a whole lot longer, right? So, yeah. So there's that. It's a rap tour. Thank you. It's a rap tour. Thank you. Okay, he's talking to Raptor there. So, yeah, he's going to shoot in for the takedown straight away. But how will Dricus get on with it, right? Reluctant Gamer says Khamzat is not active enough. But, yeah, he probably won. Islam Makhachev is the best active fighter right now. Well, yes, Islam Makhachev, John Jones, and then you can argue Dricus Du Plessis is right up there as well. But if you look at the body work, obviously, no disrespect at all to Alex Pereira. His body work, even though he lost against Ankalaev, is not to be denied. Now, what about the Ariel Helwani interview that Alex Pereira did? Right? So what's interesting about that is, he said that he won that fight. So that's really interesting. You know what I mean? That's really interesting that he said that he won that fight. I don't know why. There's only 3 people. Well, that kind of fluctuates, right? You've seen earlier there was 14, there was 20, and this and that. That's what it is. But by the end of it all, again, here's something you guys got to understand for the people that are view watching or this and that. Look, none of that matters, right? All the comments, whether they're good or whether they're negative, none of that matters. What matters is that there are comments and that it is constantly pushing up in the algorithm. So that's that. Not John Jones is not an active enough. He's ducking in Aspinall's fight for a big money rather than a Pereira fight. He says here, I see you are, kid. I know your parents don't teach you manners, but you will learn. It's going. Okay, so he's talking to Misty on that one, right? That is a shot at Misty and what he's saying right there. Rightfully so. Here's something you got to understand, right? Most of you are taught to be nice and cordial, even if somebody is being rude to you. I don't operate in that matter. I grew up in the East Coast of New Jersey, right? East Coast of the United States, which is New Jersey, New York. It's the rudest region of America. That's just how they operate over there. And guess what? You got to have thick skin to live in that world. Out here in California, people here are nicer, but I will say there's a serious gang problem in California, and that in and of itself, yeah, you have to have thick skin in a different way as well. You also have to be very methodical and think on your feet. And that's just what it is when you're living in a land that is occupied by different street gangs, right? You got to know how to be witty. Toxic Gameplay says, people from NY are so rude. Oh, man, tell me about it. Southern Hospitality, F the world. So, Toxic Gameplays, are you from the South by any chance when you say Southern Hospitality, F the world? Or what does FTW mean? I know it to be as F the world, but I'm not sure if you're from ATL. Okay, that makes sense. All right, well, shout out to ATL, man. And this is what I love is, you know, there's always different people from around the United States, around the country that is here and this and that. So, yeah. Please understand, you got to have thick skin and you can't let anybody walk all over you. Some of you let other people walk all over you. And if you want to live your life like that, so be it. But I'm not here to live my life like that in any kind of way, not online or not in person. And that's really what it is. Toxic Gameplay says ATL, a lot of beef in boxing. Do you mean in the amateur circuits or in the pro circuits within known names? I know Deontay Wilder is big down south. I know he's not an Atlanta guy, but at the same time, he's a southern guy, so that's sort of in the same region. Especially Gervonta, he has a lot of ops here. Oh, okay. So when you mean ops, you don't mean just beef within the boxing industry or within the competitive architecture. You mean like street beef, like people that want to get at him and something to that extent, right? Adrian says, I live in Eastern Europe. Here, every word promise matters with no respect. I don't think you will survive here. And I think that's a reference towards Minor that he was talking to here. So Keo Alexi is back once again. Thank you. And this time we'll give you a 1 minute. So then you can come back and help jump up the algorithm again. So thank you very much. And this and that. So yeah. And here's the thing, right? This is why a lot of people are not they're not going to succeed in YouTube. There's a lot of people that just don't do good in YouTube because they don't know how to handle criticism, right? Like anytime somebody criticizes you, most people, they fold. They're like, oh my God, he said something about me or this and that. You're not going to do that with me. You're not going to make me fold in any kind of way. I've been through different situations in life that you just can't match with, and that's just something that you're going to have to understand. So nothing you do surprises me. Nothing, shocks me anymore. So, it's the quintessential definition of having thick skin, as they say. So, yeah. So yeah, please, Toxic Gameplays, tell me more about the Gervonta Davis's beef down there. He has a lot of beef with fighters. Some of them outbox him, and he lies about it. Oh, okay. So you mean in the uh, sparring circuits? I'm assuming, right? When he comes down there and spars random people. See, that's the thing about being a high-profile fighter, right? You have to be very careful about who you are sparring with because every single one of them are going to try their best to basically hurt you to make themselves feel better. Just like what some people like to do in chats, right? They like to say random things to make themselves feel better. But nah, some mother effers want to rob him. He has to come here deep. Well, like most people, they really have to come deep wherever they're at, right? Otherwise, you just put yourself in a compromising situation. You guys know the New York rapper Pop Smoke, right? He got unalived out here in California, in LA, in the Hollywood Hills to be exact. He was renting an Airbnb, and a group of these Hoover Crips found out where he was staying at, and they went and robbed his house, and then eventually got into a fight where he was in a struggle with the men that were involved, and then what had happened was he ended up getting banged on top of that. Toxic Play says a new welterweight world champion sparred Tank before he was a welterweight champion. He outboxed Tank for 15 rounds. Wow, so they actually sparred 15 rounds. That's insane. Tank lied and uploaded a Photoshop picture saying he broke his nose. Yeah, that's common, isn't it? Right, in boxing gyms, they love to say that they, broke somebody's nose or anything like that, but so he lost a lot of respect in ATL for that. You don't need to listen to buy new. You don't need a license to buy new guns. Do you mean that in your part of the world, or do you mean just in total? Because here's the thing: the common misconception that people have about England, right, in reference to Sean Brady sort of making fun of Leon Edwards when he was doing the little gun sign. This is like what Leon Edwards likes to do just right before he fights, right? It's like his little insignia. Okay, so you do. Okay, obviously, like most countries, right? Well, in England, you can't own a gun as a private citizen. But it doesn't mean guns are not around. Obviously, a lot of the gangs of London, in Birmingham, in Manchester, and places like that, all these dudes, they have guns, but yeah, a lot of people don't really know that they do, and that's kind of what the criminal underworld is for, right? In order to buy things in a black market and then sell it out there for whatever means and purposes you have for it. So yeah, speaking of which, Usyk has a fight coming up. We don't know exactly what that is. Now, is he going to fight Daniel Dubois? Which, by the way, a guy who gave him a hard time just right before he sort of, was in that situation of an illegal blow. Is he going to fight Tyson Fury again? Don't be surprised if that's the case. Now, here's the other shocker. The other shocker of a fight that he has lined up, which, by the way, I'm going to tell you right at the end of this first hour of this live stream, okay? So once it hits hour 1, I'm going to tell you exactly what the other plan is. And by the way, it's going to shock you, right? Is it going to be a former champion? Is it going to be a former undisputed champion? Is it going to be a current belt holder at the time right now? Or is it a different sport? You see where I'm going with this. So more on Alexander Usyk in 15 minutes from now. But for now, let's take a look at what is trending on the internet right now, right? Project 25. Now we're going to get to the political portion of this right now. Let us look at what exactly is Project 25. What exactly is that? So Project 25 is a political initiative to reshape the federal government of the United States and consolidate executive powers in favor of right-wing policies. And that is according only to Wikipedia. the most trusted source in all of education, right? I'll tell you, if you guys have ever been to college in the United States, in a university, Wikipedia is a joke to many professors. And reason being is because there's just not a lot of cited information regarding Wikipedia. Although they do cite their information, but when you look at it, it's usually articles and articles that are not peer reviewed in any kind of way. So as a result of that, there's a lot of faulty perspectives that you can get out of Wikipedia. And again, here's sort of the biasness that is attached to that. Let me read that again. Project 25 is a political initiative to reshape the federal government of the United States and consolidate executive power in favor of right-wing policies. Now, why do they have to bring up that it's a right-wing policy, right? Okay, maybe because it's inspired by Donald Trump, that it has to somehow hold a right-wing ideology behind it. But many of you don't know, at one point, Donald Trump was not a conservative at all times, right? He obviously funded the Democrat Party, right? Hillary Clinton. He's funded Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton's previous political careers. So, I mean, it goes on for, okay, what did Adrian here say? We don't need licenses for guns produced before 1990. Wow. Okay, so that is interesting. You see, this is why I love having these types of intelligent people in the chats, right? Not these trolls that just want to get attention to feel better about themselves, right? 1990. So you can own a gun that's before 1990. So in other words, you can own a Kalashnikov 47 with something that is before 1990. I'm going to show you guys a book that I have, right here. This is a book, the World Encyclopedia of Rifles, right? And on the forefront of it, look at this. The forefront of it is an AK-47, okay? It's an AK-47, and let me show you just what else is in here. Okay, so let's get to Serbia, right? Obviously, these are guns from the 1800s, okay, right here. Guns from the 1800s. Let me, hold on. Let me send a link to one of the homies right now real quick. Hold on, just so you guys can see this right here. Okay, so that's basically what my man here is talking about right there. He says, I'm holding, the gun I'm holding is my dad is from 1958. So let me see if I can pull up something like that here. Okay, in the, look at this, Hungary. I'm back. What diet would you recommend also? And what can we call you, bro? Kyriov. Let's see. So, I don't really have a specific diet recommendation or anything like that. Although they said that the Mediterranean diet is the most healthiest, I tend to just try to eat what is the most fuel efficient food that I can intake, you know, so whatever that may be, if I need fiber for a certain day, or if I need a certain amount of iron for a certain amount of time, yeah. So do you own any? I'm not at liberty to say, but let's just say that in America, it is a very common thing to own one, both legal or illegal. So, you know, make of that as you will, right? But yeah, I will say, though, if you live in the United States, right, you know, I think that it's probably recommended that you own one, because damn near everybody has one, right? You know, the police have one, the criminals and gangs have one. That's just what it is. So Going back to Project 25 conversation that we had, because it sort of ties into Elon Musk, right? So it is an American conservative think tank, the anticipation of Donald Trump winning 2024 presidential election. We sort of are seeing all the executive orders that are tied into all these things, right? The ninth iteration of the Heritage Foundation's mandate for leadership series. Project 2025 is based on a controversial interpretation of unitary executive theory that states that the entire executive branch is under the complete control of the presidency. What up, bro? Hope you are doing well. Hey, shout out to Yogi, my man. Thank you for the shout outs. So here we are with Project 2025, right? Unitary executive theory that states the entire executive branch is under complete control of the president. So what many opponents of that particular way of thinking would probably look at that as, you know what, that's damn near dictatorship. But the project's proponents say that it would dismantle a government bureaucracy and say is unaccountable and mostly liberal. Okay, critics have called it an authoritarian Christian nationalist plan that would steer the U.S. towards autocracy. Legal experts say it would undermine the rule of law, separation of power, separation of church and state, and civil liberties. Maybe there is some truth to that in terms of separation of power, right? Because what we do understand about the United States is that they have different branches of the executives, the Senate, and the Congress, and they all have their own roles. They all have their own special powers, and for good reason, because obviously they want to try to keep it as fair as possible for everybody. And the project calls for merit-based federal civil services workers to be replaced by people loyal to Trump, taking partisan control of key government agencies that would include the DOJ, which is the Department of Justice, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, the DOC, the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC agencies, including Homeland Security, DHS. The Department of Education would be dismantled or abolished, which, by the way, you sort of are seeing that right now in the news. It calls for reducing environmental regulations to favor fossil fuels and purposes of making the National Institute Health less independent while defunding its stem cell research. Now, the blueprint seeks to reduce taxes on corporations. How inconvenient. Institutes a flat income tax on individuals, Medicare, Medicaid, and reverses as many of President Joe Biden's policies as possible. Okay, so Adrian says, fun fact, in America, most people use handguns, or what you guys call carry guns, but it's different. We all own rifles or shotguns. Owning the handguns are rare here. Yeah, because Russia is a country that has been to war a lot, so I guess owning all these different rifles are definitely standard in that part of the world. Now, look, here's the thing, right? I know that Ukraine is not really that strong, but can you imagine if there are Ukrainian forces or maybe special forces or things of that nature that can roll up there and possibly bring harm to you guys in any kind of way, right? I mean, I don't think that's possible. I think Russia has a very good security in terms of its borders, right? Sort of like what's going on with the Trump administration right now. So, yeah, I think that would be very hard, but it's not impossible, and certainly not during the Soviet era, which is why a lot of you guys are able to own guns as way back as the 1990s. And by the way, thank you for that fun fact. That's something I did not know, that as a Russian citizen, you are allowed to carry a rifle that is before 1990 without any licenses. Because if you look at the new AK-47s that the Russian forces are using right now, I mean, they are modernized, right? The black ones, right? The new black ones, not the wooden ones that I showed you in this picture right here, right? It's not the same model as this, right? It's black, and you know, obviously it doesn't have the wood or anything like that. It's just all black steel from what I recall seeing the yeah. So it's called an AK-12. Okay, so an AK-12. And then there's the AK-74 as well, right? Not to be mistaken by AK-47, but out here, all the gangsters call it a Draco, right? Which, by the way, the famous rapper that had been passed away in LA, his name was Draco the Ruler, and he would carry it around like this. And, you know, I believe there was a video of Osama bin Laden sort of shooting that back in the days. It's this very famous Al-Qaeda video that a lot of news outlets use when they are talking about Al-Qaeda to sort of highlight, to sort of highlight their organization in that kind of light. So, okay, so going back to that, less independent while funding its stem cell research, Blueprint seeks to reduce tax on corporations, institute a flat income tax on individuals. That's quite good. Cut Medicare, Medicaid, and reverse as many policies of Joe Biden. Now, it also proposes criminalizing pornography, removing legal protections against anti-LGBT discriminations. Which, by the way, if you're a staunch conservative, you're going to agree with that. Ending diversity, equity, and inclusion, DIE programs, while having DOJ prosecute anti-white racism instead. Now, that's interesting, okay? Because obviously it's doesn't seem like a very level playing field, right? Like, you go after people that are anti-white, but do you go after white people that are anti anything else? So that sort of has a controversy behind that, right? The project also recommends arrest, detention, and mass deportation of illegal immigrants. And by the way, you're sort of seeing all of that right now. Deploying the U.S. Armed Forces for domestic law enforcement. Wow. Okay, so that right there is interesting. And I don't know how true that is, because you can't really deploy the armed forces within the United States. It's not like in Russia. I'm sure that you can have Spetsnaz, special forces guys, run up at anybody in Moscow, in Dagestan, or in any of those regions and do what they need to do. But the United States has a law that's a little bit more unique than that, that doesn't allow these types of things. Hence, what I had mentioned earlier, the separation of power. So the plan also proposes enacting laws supported by the Christian right, such as criminalizing those who send and receive abortion and birth control medications. Don't really have an opinion on that. Eliminating coverage of emergency contraceptions. Most of Project 2025's writers' contributes worked either with Trump's first administration, which was from 2017 to 2021, or his 2024 election campaign. Several Trump campaign officials maintained contact with Project 25, seeing it as goals aligned with the Agenda 47 program. Now, what is the Agenda 47 program? That may have something to do with Trump, the campaign manifesto of Donald Trump, which details policies that would be implemented upon his election as the 47th president of the United States. Okay, so Trump later attempted to distance himself from the plan. Okay, so that's interesting. Why did he distance himself from that? After he won the 2024 election, he nominated several of the plan's architects and support to position his second administration. 4 days into his second term, analysis by Time found that nearly 2/3 of Trump's executive actions mirror or partially mirror proposals from Project 2025. So the background of it, obviously, you could take a look right here. This is basically all the background of this article. Kevin Roberts, president of the Heritage Foundation, established 2025. He's one of the writers with that. Trump meeting with Edwin Fuller, co-founder of the Heritage Foundation and other conservative leader groups in 2017. Advisory board and leadership. So yeah, now here's a concern of this whole entire matter, right? Elon Musk is an extremely wealthy man. He has really unlimited type of money. The type of unlimited money to where he can influence everybody. Now, look, he has a position right now as the director of the DOGE, which, by the way, overlooks all the government spending and things of that nature and the budgets that go along with it. What's sort of problematic about this is that it separates oligarch money from the actual rules and regulations of the United States that has what you call a check and balance of power, right? So it sort of kind of bypasses all of that, right? Now, look, the way that the Constitution and American law was started, obviously there's a lot of different loopholes that you can get around it, even though that it was designed to sort of steer away from dictatorship or monarch-like government. But again, you know what they say, if money talks, BS walks, and that's what we're seeing right now with Elon Musk. So now that we're at the top of the hour, I had mentioned that I was going to mention to you the surprise possibility of Alexander Usyk's next matchup. Now, his next possible matchup, believe it or not, it could be Jake Paul in an MMA fight. Now, where would that MMA fight be? Probably in a PFL, because Jake Paul is signed with the PFL, although he doesn't really have any official MMA fights yet or any MMA fights lined up. If there's going to be one, it's going to be against Alexander Usyk, which, by the way, is really interesting. Because we all know Jake Paul is a novice boxer, for whatever that means, right? Or at least a developing boxer at that point, right? And let's just be honest, this kid could probably knock out a lot of pro boxers out there if he wished to do so. Now, why is this important to have this matchup in this particular light, right? Because it's even. Jake Paul has wrestling under his back pocket. I think Usyk has some wrestling as well, but I think that it would make it into a much more even fight. Because with boxing, here's the thing, right? I always say that when it comes to skill, boxing, when it comes to boxers, you never truly lose if you are the rightful skilled guy among the two of the competitors that are in the ring in that current moment of time. So in other words, the guy who's always skilled will always win in boxing. In MMA, it's a very, how do I say this? It's a very unpredictable sport. Okay, so the sport is so unpredictable that anything can happen. You could be winning by getting all the takedowns out of nowhere. You could be winning by doing all of the right stuff on the feet, meaning that you're tearing them apart, you're picking them apart. But one shot or one sequence of events could change the whole entire outcome of a fight. Okay, and that's sort of what makes mixed martial arts interesting, dangerous, but also very unpredictable. And if that is the possibility of Usyk's next fight, well, this is the reason why. Right, that is the main reason why, is because of that alone. So I'll be right back. Let me take a little bathroom break real quick.
Existence in the world from the words that you speak. If I ever rule the earth, there are things I will teach. Live a life to the fullest for the strongest, not the weak. Gotta watch what you say and the things that you see. Existence in the world from the words that you speak. If I ever rule the earth, there are things I will teach. Live a life to the fullest for the strongest, not the weak. Cause I'm a rise, stay, slip and slide. Where, nigga? Nigga to the other side. Where them niggas lay they head at. I've been waiting so long, gotta get my payback. And I bang that. Niggas talking all that shit, but I hold your tongue. All that dissing niggas doing, niggas time gon' come. So hold your gun, nigga. Or that ass get popped, and we gon' double back, nigga. If your work don't stop, get toe tag. I can't feel that pain. He was capping in them songs, he didn't feel that way. Starting shit you can't handle, nigga. Now your family outside, lighting candles, nigga. Yeah. Gotta watch what you say, and the things that you say. Existence in the world, from the words that you speak.
All right, so we're back. All right, so who sharded? Damn, Eggy, I don't understand what you mean by that. Care to elaborate on that a little bit? What do you think about Trump's decisions? Okay, what his decisions? I think that a lot of them are, how do I say this, emotional based, right? Some of them make sense, but also a lot of them, you know, really are just emotional based, right? Like, for example, the whole immigration thing, right? Great. You're trying to basically secure the borders. But with that, you're also affecting people that are legally here. So, you know, again, it's like most political decisions, nothing is perfect, right? But it is a decision that he has to make to respond to what is going on right now. Not all of it I agree with. Some of it I agree with, but that's just really where you have to stand on that particular matter at hand. So, okay, so what do you guys think about the fight with Khamzat Chimaev? Do you think that he wins that one? Or do you think that he's going to have a difficult time with that fight, but still win? Or do you think that he just blows out Dricus Du Plessis literally in the first round? You know what I think? I think he could probably finish Dricus Du Plessis in the first round. That is my opinion. Now, again, my opinion could change as the fight goes on, but yeah. Adrian says, I think some decisions are better for U.S. economy. Exactly. Some decisions. Now, the tariffs that he did, a lot of liberals are sort of complaining about it, but again, you never know what the long-term effect will be on that. So we'll have to wait and see. It's too soon to sort of give a definitive answer as to say, well, you know what, this is going to affect the economy negatively or positively. No, obviously the direction that he wants to go is to affect it positively. The only thing that I would really oppose that Trump does anything is that he is way too pro-Israel, right? And make of that as you will. Obviously, that's this position and the stance that I'm going to take. But yeah, he's just way too pro-Israel, and I think at a very lopsided favor towards them, at least in my personal opinion at that. But back to Khamzat Chimaev and Dricus Du Plessis, that's one way of looking at it, right? The one way of looking at it is that Khamzat could blow him out in the first round or have a very tough fight and then he ends up winning. Or Dricus Du Plessis would probably be considered the best 185er of this generation, because can you imagine? There has never been a 185 contender that is more famous than the current champion holder. Now, who do you guys think is a lot more well-known in the casual fan base space, right? Is it Khamzat or is it Dricus? I'm going to say Khamzat because, I mean, he just seems like the face of the UFC without being champion, right? So, I don't know, man. That's... I got more to say about Dricus's training style in a second. I got something for you right now. Let's see here. Speaking of which, Conor McGregor wants to get into... Oh, by the way, how about that? We just hit 700 subscribers right now. So Congratulations to everybody that's on this chat right now. Congratulations to myself. I just hit 700 subscribers on this channel. On and moving forward, on and popping. And you know what? But the subscriber base will probably grow each day as I'm grinding here every day. So here's a controversial video that I made about not Tom Aspinall. Hold on a second here. John Jones saying he needs 6 months to train for Tom Aspinall.
John Jones has recently told the media that he wants 6 months to get ready for Tom Aspinall. Now, is he right to do that, or is it wrong in terms of competitive integrity? Well, let's take a look back, right? In the current date right now, I would say that it is 14 years ago where John Jones became the youngest light heavyweight champion in the history of the UFC, if not the youngest.
So, number 4, MK&a says, John Jones just wants 30 million. Yeah, for sure, right? And I think, can it be facilitated? Sure. But I think the Saudis have to come in there and cough it up a little bit. And if they cough it up, they may want that fight in Riyadh. So just to kind of keep that in mind. If they want to get the Tom Aspinall and John Jones fight going, yeah, they're probably going to want to host that in Riyadh. It makes a great profile for their country. It's sort of a big flex for Turkey El-Sheikh. But yeah, they have to cough up that much to make it happen.
UFC champion ever. Now, what is significant about that? I can tell you that I was training with Uriah Faber leading up to that fight, which, by the way, was also Uriah Faber's UFC debut after becoming a WEC legend and WEC being bought out by the UFC. So,
Adrian says, U.S. economy is backed by the dollar compared to other countries' gold-backed economy. By the way, speaking of which, that is actually in Islamic Sunnah to use gold as currency, but obviously that's not realistic in the modern day right now. And the dollar is the world reserve currency. If any organizations change that, U.S. can survive with extreme depths. Okay, so that makes a good point right there.
That's a pretty significant history on the part of John Jones and also everyone from Team Alpha Male. If you remember back in the days, Uriah Faber and John Jones used to do a lot of videos together. Remember that dance, Teach Me How to Dougie? Teach Me How to Dougie. If you remember in 2011 or so, they both came out doing these little dances with it way before TikTok came out. Well, now here we are in 2025 where TikTok and short clips rule the world. On top of that, now you have a different John Jones in a different trajectory, still a champion, but a champion in a different weight class, having to deal with this new generation of athletes, in particular, somebody like Tom Aspinall.
Yeah, Adrian, that's true. So Trump has to make decisions based on that. Very right, yeah.
Now, a lot of people are sort of citing that prior to the championship fight between Shogun Rua, if you remember,
but the tariff on Canada is a bad move. And that's what I'm saying, right? Now, he does some things that are good, and then the tariffs on Canada, I just don't know what to say about that other than let's wait out and see the result of that.
Significant about that was that his teammate Rashad Evans was supposed to take that fight. Now, given the fact that Rashad Evans was not able to show up for that fight, John Jones was the replacement just 1 month coming from beating Ryan Bader, which, by the way, was a #1 contender fight. Not really. Yeah, it was a #1 contender fight, but more like a prospect versus prospect kind of fight. But in the end, John Jones came out on top, and just like that, they granted him a UFC title. What's also significant about that day, he caught on with a purse snatcher. Right, somebody that snatches ladies' purses and all that. He went and got them in the middle of Newark. Him and Greg Jackson.
I mean, I'd like to live in a world where
sort of made a citizen's arrest and then waited for the police to come. And then hours later, he goes
into the fight and making a weekend out of it, and then the fighter you're expecting to see is compromised, like TJ Dillashaw.
All right, how about this? Breaking news, right? people died on January 6th. Correct, Tim. Yeah, very sad day. So Pereira claims injured during the Ankalaev fight. Let's hear some reaction from Luke Thomas, a guy who I have reacted to many videos on here, and also some shorts that I have featuring Luke Thomas and Brian Campbell of Morning Combat.
Shoulder that time, or if you put money down on a betting line, it seems unfair. It also seems really hard to police if people are going to hide injuries. But I guess...
But I mean, that's the other part, too. It's like, dude, if all these guys didn't fight when they were injured, I don't know how many events there would be per year.
Now, that's a good question, right? Who doesn't fight injured, and how many events per year would be happening if these guys didn't fight? I mean, look, I tell you what. The first time that I got ready for a Muay Thai fight, right? It was so perfect. I mean, I did everything that I was supposed to. I did everything that was required of me. The weight cutting was great. The team that I was with was great. The preparation was great. The mood, the music, getting in there and getting to the venue, it was great. It was all amazing, right? But when you start moving up and start fighting more and more often, you start realizing, man, you don't have a perfect training camp. And then you realize there is no real perfect training camp. There's a lot of guys that go into their fights broken, that go into their fights with underlying injuries. And as a result, this is what you get. Number 4 MK&a says, can't go out there like Mendez and immediately dislocate your shoulder. Mendez, do you mean TJ Dillashaw? Because I believe you might be referring to the TJ Dillashaw and the Aljamain Sterling fight. Now, when TJ Dillashaw went into that fight with Aljamain Sterling, that's literally the case of what's going on. Yes, my bad. Okay, yeah. Because you may be thinking about Mendez because it was Conor McGregor who was injured going into the Chad Mendes fight, where Chad Mendes had to be replaced by Jose Aldo.
Here, to be perfectly honest. And, like, you know, they need the money. You know, I mean, obviously, Poetan's not poor or anything, but a lot of these guys, we're talking about the grand total of who fights injured. There's a lot of these guys that need the money. Also, BC, a lot of these guys, you know, they have to learn this the hard way, which is
I don't think that Alex Pereira went in there injured because of the money. I think the situation that led him to go in there was just predicated on his pride, right? He's a very prideful man, if you can't tell. And he said, you know what, I'm not going to go in there and get punked into not showing up. And that's just how some people are, warrior mentality.
Fight with injuries, and then they'll win, and they'll be like, okay, well, I could fight with a lot of different injuries then. And then they'll fight with some kind of injury that was a bridge too far. And
you see, this is what I'm talking about right here, right? First fight, first Muay Thai fight I ever did, perfect training camp, perfect preparation, and then sometimes you're just not in a perfect situation all the time.
Then they're like, oh, right, there is a limit to this kind of a thing. But it takes them a while to figure that out. Like, if you're going to celebrate a guy for stepping in and being injured, you know, and winning, and you know he's done it several times, when it ends up on the losing side, you don't have to, like, look the other way. But I think being a little bit forgiving about it is in order here.
Yeah, I mean, think about what Pereira's done for this company and for us as fans, right? Bailing out these big events and being great. So,
see, what would 2024 have been if Poetan didn't fight injured?
It would have been the year that made Topuria a living legend. And speaking, Luke, of a bridge too far, that's the perfect transition to topic.
All right, so let me read to you a comment that someone made on my Cain Velasquez video. You guys have been following the Cain Velasquez case, right? So this is what Dano Johnson had to say. Let's read this. So he initiated a car chase and was firing his gun out of the window while driving past a school that was dismissing the children for that day. I get why he did it, but he still can't just go and get away with it. What do you guys think about that comment right there? I'm going to comment and reply to Johnson right now. By the way, reading this comment on my live stream. what did I title this live stream right here? Let me see so I can, okay. I just said that, yeah, your comment is controversial, and yeah, probably doesn't help he fights so much. Yeah, that's true. Volkanovski versus Lopez, who do you think will win? You know what? On a normal basis, I would probably go with Volkanovski, but I'm going with Lopez because he seems to be the fresher of the two. But I could be wrong. This could be one of those situations where uh, Volkanovski shows out. He shows why he is still one of the best in the world, and Islam and Ilia Topuria are Islam and Ilia Topuria, top of the hill. But when it comes to fighting lower competitions, he proves that he's still there. Now, if he doesn't fight, I'm sorry, if he doesn't win against Lopez, I think it's going to be very indicative of where he is at in his current career trajectory right now. So, speaking of Ilia Topuria,
Number 5, the former featherweight champion, my number 2 pound for pound in the sport, Ilia Topuria, held a press conference to announce he's changing his nickname from El Matador to La Leyenda.
wow, so the dude is trying to change his name into a legend. I mean, make of that as you will. Does he deserve to be called a legend right now in his very premature career?
AKA the legend, at a time when the UFC could really use star power, of course, to step up and energize the fan base. Is Topuria missing the moment, missing the point here? Luke, we softly criticized him when he changed his Twitter bio before ever winning the title as the unbeaten champion. He also
Now, how about Bobby Green changing his name to King and not really working out for him, right? Not a very king-like move, not a very king-mate or checkmate move. I think Volkanovski will win because he has to prove it. Yes. Okay, that's not a bad take. That could be a possibility.
So, did that whole thank you to himself. Now, mid-career, he's calling himself the legend. We need stars. We need people like this. But I need you to take the stand here for your boy. Is this a little bit too pretentious?
Let me make the case for this, if I may.
All right, Luke, let's hear it.
For this, okay? It goes something like this. All right. There's 3 reasons why I'm not going to say I like this, because I think it's super fucking weird, okay? But I think it's a good thing. And here's the argument. First, as you mentioned, he's done like super ballsy shit like this, where I'm gonna call myself the UFC champion on Instagram before you even fought the guy, before you won anything, which is like the ultimate jinx. And then he goes out there and he actually does it, right? You're like, okay, all right. I mean, I wouldn't recommend anybody else do it, but he got away with it this time. Okay, there's certain kind of stakes in anticipation. So it's not like he's never done this before. He's done almost exactly this kind of thing before. That's the first thing I'm going to say. The second thing I'm going to say is, either way, someone gets to feast here. So
what does he mean by that? What, somebody gets to feast here? Let's hear Luke Thomas's take on this one. By the way, guys, I don't necessarily agree with a lot of Luke Thomas's political opinions, but in my opinion, and I think many others who can look at things objectively, I think that he is the smartest MMA media member, right? He's very well read, very articulate, and if you can't tell, I sort of try to model my style from him, right? You know how we try to model styles from different fighters on the fighting side of fighting, right? Well, I try to model my media side on top of things to the way that he does it, because I think he's the best media guy in the game, regardless of whether we share or have opposing political views.
Changed his nickname to the Legend, which is like, I mean, The kids say cringe. We used to say douche chills, BC. But either way, you know the feeling that you get when you read this. You're like, you got to be fucking kidding me. But if he wins, let's say he fights Charles and then viciously KOs him. I mean, it doesn't exactly. It's not the same thing as like I'm going to call myself the champion, then that you literally become the champion afterwards. It doesn't like there's a direct switch being flipped in that case. You don't get that with beating Charles per se, but it certainly adds ammunition to whatever he's trying to do for himself. And so, you know, it's another way of like upping the ante here a little bit.
Okay. So I see what he's saying. What he is saying, I think Volkanovski will. Well, okay, I read that one already. What he is trying to say is that Ilia Topuria is raising the stakes on himself, right? And when he raises those stakes on himself, what he's doing is trying to up and level his game. I think that's what Luke Thomas is basically trying to convey with this message right here. Let's continue on.
Conversely, and I think this is where you come in. Let's say he loses badly, but loses. Dude, the amount of fucking salt that is going, or no, not even salt, the amount of vitriol and absolute dancing on his grave that is going to happen is going to make it for an all-timer in the world of MMA, social media, whether it's Twitter, whether it's IG, you name it.
And I agree with him, and I'm going to tell you why that is. So the reason why, a lot of you, I'm going to be honest, a lot of you don't like confident people. When you see somebody that tries to rise above whatever situation he has going on, and he tries to proclaim, well, I am the best YouTuber, I'm going to be the best YouTuber, I'm going to make it on YouTube, I'm going to make it in this new field that I am in. A lot of you secretly, when you hear a family member or when you hear a friend do that, you hate them inside. You want to know why you hate them? Because a lot of you don't have the confidence to go out there and try it yourselves. So then when you see somebody fail, you're like, oh, thank God. Oh, your heart just all of a sudden is like filled with joy because that person failed and you feel good about it. But unfortunately, that makes you a very pathetic person. And quite frankly, the majority of people that are audiences and fans, because you have to understand, as popular as a sport gets, okay, it's going to have a lot of different, characters in it. Now, look, last year, I would do a live stream. There's barely like 1 or 2 people in here, right? And, obviously, it's not like... It's not a big problem, right? Because I don't need moderators. I don't have people that are coming in here trolling all the time or this and that. So it's, it's not a big problem. But then once you hit a certain level, now you got these problems, right? Where you're attracting more people. So the more people that you attract, the more that you're going to have content behavior that comes out of it. Force says... Number 4 says, can't force yourself to be a legend. How many times has Cowboy lost? He's the legend. So are you conferring that Cowboy is a legend, but he's sort of in the end of his career, so it's okay to say that he's a legend now? And then Adrian says, is eating birds is halal in Islam? You know what? That's a good question. I don't eat birds, but let me look it up. Are birds halal to eat? And AI says no, not all birds are considered halal or permissible to eat in the Islamic dietary laws. Generally, birds that do not hunt with their claws and do not eat carrion are halal, while birds of prey like eagles and vultures are not. Okay, so I hope that explains that question right there. Ryan Bender, that's a very interesting name. I wonder if that has any correlation to Ryan Bader. Lopez will win, but bet the house. Volk would win 3 years ago. Ryan, that is a good analysis right there. And why is Ryan saying that? It is because 3 years ago, Volkanovski did not get his head kicked in by Islam Makhachev and did not get his head bashed in by Ilia Topuria. So that's right there. It's goose. He said it's goose. I think he meant to say that it's good. Okay. Make of that as you will. Not exactly my my cup of tea. But everyone on the chat right now, don't forget to like and subscribe. All right. Let's continue on with this reaction to Ilia Topuria changing his name to Legend.
They're going to rake him over the coals. Like,
oh, and then going back, why he is talking about this, because he's naming himself Legend, sort of upping the ante, sort of upping the risk of yeah, the risk that's involved in all of that. But he's saying that, hey, you know what? Many of these people are going to tear him apart based on that. So yeah, let's continue on from here.
No one's been raked before. So to which I say, BC, under these circumstances.
So you think Volkanovski wins? Okay. Would that happen to be the reason why? Because maybe he's not affected by these damages that he took in the Islam Makhachev and the Ilia Topuria fight? Is that why? Let me know if that's what you think.
I'm not saying it's like, you know, Conor McGregor and the 3 Arena, like we're not here to take part, we're here to take over, like this incredibly charismatic moment. It's not that. But it's a way in which to stand out and either up the ante, as I mentioned, about like his identity and what he's attempting here and like the stakes and everything, or you get a chance to dunk on him like Shaq on that white guy who he then put his junk in his face and then shoved him on the GIF. I forget who it was.
Dudley.
Yeah, the Knicks player.
Threw the ball at him because he had to. You had to.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of ways people win here. Fair or unfair? What do you think?
So, before we get Brian Campbell's reaction to that, like what I said, right? People love to dunk on you when you fail, okay? I'll give you an example. Earlier in the chat, Misty Minor came in here and said, well, I'm your biggest fan. And so I asked her, well, why do you say that? Now, I don't know if she's just saying that to try and pull my leg or anything like that. But all of a sudden, a bunch of trolls come in here. I go and address them. They say, well, you know, can you really fight? Are you really in shape or this and that? So I show them a few videos. I start talking my smack. I start talking with my swagger and all my confidence to go along with it. Now, all of a sudden, she says, well, I don't really like you anymore or this and that. Well, why? Because all of a sudden now I'm talking in confidence. I'm talking with absolute sure of myself. Now you don't want to be down anymore. When earlier, when I was speaking with, you know, kind humility and humbleness, all of a sudden that's okay. You know, that's easy to be a fan of somebody like that, right? But because of that, hey, all of a sudden now you don't want to be a fan of mine because you think that I'm too overconfident or because you don't like the way that I slag somebody off. Number 4, MK says, you just earned my sub today. Shout outs to you, my man. I think that makes you the 701 subscription on this channel. Thank you. And I hope that you do spread my channel and share it with your friends, family, and everyone else that is combat sports enthusiast, but also other people that may share, you know, interest in political matters or other topics that I may share. Adrian says here, I think that he did get lots of beatings. He had to win for to stay there. I think he will work hard. Well, there's no doubt in the work ethic of Volkanovski. Now, the question is, will the work ethic match what your body can do? Because you see, sometimes in a fighter's career, there comes a point where your mentality, which has always been strong, which has always been hard to kill, may not necessarily match with the physicality that you are capable of or lack of, or the declining of your physicality as a result of your current state. So something to keep in mind with that regard.
I get it. It will raise the...
Now into Brian Campbell's response to, yes, Ilia Topuria naming himself Legend, which, by the way, many people are going to be rubbed the wrong way. Why? Because think of it like this. You guys see children build blocks, right? When they build blocks, what do? They start building the blocks, and next thing you know, they go and crash it down. You want to know why? Because many of you are children. I mean, Look, we were all children at one point, right? But I don't mean that in a very derogatory manner as to take away your manhood or take away your maturity in any kind of way. But what I mean by that is that in the instinctual mind of a human being, especially the flaws that we have as, you know, natural born sinners, right? We want to see people fail. That's really all there is to it. We want to see people fail. And you want to know why we love seeing people fail? Not me. I love seeing people succeed, okay? I'm not one of these people at all, because to me, I'm going to go and make my own way and, you know, strap up my bootstraps or strap up my Converse Chucks and do what I need to do. But for other people, let's take this into an example, right? Let's say you grew up in the hood, right? And the other person that you grew up with also grew up in the hood. All of a sudden, that person starts making more money than you, and next thing you know, you're like, oh man, F that guy, he's no good, or this and that. You know, you start feeling entitled, and then you start feeling like, how is it that he made it before I did? And then it starts becoming a reflection of yourself. But in reality, you should never compare yourself to other people, because comparing yourself to other people is the thief of all joy. So understand that. Number 4 says, Topuria is incredibly good and could become a true legend. For sure, and we're rooting for him. Just not when he fights Islam, because obviously yeah. So Adrian says, we get cocky, that's when we go down. That's what's happening there. What's hood? Hood is an American expression to sort of detail someone who comes from a destitute place or a place of poverty, right? Or somebody that comes from a very rough area like that, you know, or somebody that is gangster leaning in some kind of way. So I hope that you can kind of understand my American slang and lingo in that, and I hope that explains it. So on to Brian Campbell's response to Ilia Topuria. A slum in other countries. Yes, so hood is slum, ghetto. I don't know if they use the word ghetto there. I know they use ghetto in World War II Germany. So gangs, yes, part of it. Yes, part of it is gangs, part of it is poverty, and part of it is overall attitude. Think of rappers, right? That's the best way to sort of explain that in the you know, in the American vernacular. So, okay, on to Brian Campbell's response.
Entertainment quotient and all that, but it's lame as shit. It's a heel move, and he was looking like the ultimate babyface, the ultimate star, and this is a heel move. It really is. I mean, it's like
he tilts the who tilts the fan base more than him with this kind of self-promotion.
Well, nobody right now outside of Poeton, because they don't really have those disruptors, those tilters of the fan base. But if his next move is, I have removed 2 of my ribs so I can fillet myself in the cage, then I'll understand, Luke, okay?
The Marilyn Manson bit?
Yeah. What the hell are we doing here?
Now, what he's referring to, if you guys were not in the United States or don't understand American pop culture in the 90s, a rocker named Marilyn Manson took a part of his rib out so that he can be flexible enough to his own, if you know what I mean. And for those of you that are listening to this in audio, I was basically saying Marilyn Manson did that so that he can fellatio himself down there. Okay, on to Brian Campbell again.
This will lead me to cheer for Makhachev.
It is work like mafiosos in here. Clubs and casinos are ran by different mafiosos. Oh, yeah, man. Russians are, oh, my goodness. Yeah. There's a lot of mafia figures in Russia. And there's a lot of Russian mafia out here in California, in America overall, right? Mostly in New York and Florida and things of that nature. But yeah, the Russian mafia is big in the United States. Oh, Cali, yes, I live in California. So speaking of California, you guys remember the movie Training Day, right? The Russian mafia was sort of involved at the end of the movie because they had to go shoot up Denzel because he went to Vegas, he beat up a Russian mafia member. And then next thing you know, he was forced to pay them a compensation because he beat that Russian dude to death. So the Russian mafia said, you got to pay us your blood money. And this is the reason why Denzel Washington in that movie was robbing all these gangsters, robbing all these different drug dealers all across LA, because he was trying to make up the compensation for the blood debt that he owed to the Russian mafia. And then lo and behold, he gets into it with his partner, his own gang, the neighborhood that that Denzel Washington comes from, which is a blood affiliated neighborhood. They ended up disowning him, and as a result of that, they ended up shooting him. The Russian mafia ended up shooting him up in the end of the movie. And well, if you guys watch Training Day, you know the rest. But for those, I'm just sort of giving you a synopsis. Oh, but unfortunately, I think I sort of spoiled the outcome of that particular movie. But check it out anyway. Anyways, here goes back to Morning Combat.
To not move up to welterweight and to take care of the business for the people now.
But Long Island Luke, you have to admit, if he so let me posit a scenario. We don't know what's going to happen, but if he goes out there and ices Islam, before that calls himself, oh, look at that face, motherfucker, you didn't predict either of the Volk or the Max Holloway wins. It's time to get a little bit of respect on this.
Adrian says, it's not like the people from the mafia will treat you with respect. It's like local police. Okay, so yeah, so here's the thing, right? Gangs in general started out as usually, especially out here in California with the Bloods and the Crips, right? They usually started out as more of, let's say, a community protection, right? Something that I sort of understand and, have a great understanding of, let's say, Asian gangs out here in California, right? Many of them were, Asian immigrants, whether they would be Cambodian, Filipino, Vietnamese, let's say down in Long Beach, where Snoop Dogg is from, right? One of their biggest rivals were Mexican gangs, because when they first moved to California, all the Mexican gangs started picking on them. And next thing you know, what did the Asian gangs do? They started clicking up with the black gangs, which is why a lot of the Asian gangs in California have Blood or Crip affiliations. Hence, like the Asian Boy Crips or the Asian Bloods up in Stockton. And then they have Asian Boy Crips up there too. The TRG, the Tiny Rascal gangs. So they started to become a lot more deeper in the 80s and 90s. And then next thing you know, they started unaliving a lot of Mexican gang members, to the point where the Mexican gang members had to call on the Mexican mafia to help them. And so that's a little history on gang warfare in California that sort of deals with Asians and Mexicans in total. Yeah, so it is like a local police in a way, right? And although a lot of gangs obviously don't trust police, but there are levels of gangs that sort of get into this mafioso level where they start becoming influential towards the police force. You guys know Suge Knight, right? Death Row Records executive, the producer of Tupac, the executive producer of Tupac, Snoop Dogg, and whatnot during the 90s, the height of West Coast gangster rap in the 90s. At one point, he owned the Compton Police Department. And this is why the Compton Police Department right now got reversed and converted into a sheriff's department rather than just a regular city police department, because of the fact that there was a lot of corruption going on and he owned them. So what is this? So I'm from Colorado and Trende Aragua is rough. Yes. So number 4, who's from Colorado? I know that Trende Aragua was up there taking over apartment buildings and whatnot. And then here's an interesting thing about that, right? They had the Hells Angels. Supposedly, they were supposed to come out and help them. I don't know what had happened there, or if it did happen, or if they did it in a covert ops way where nobody knew about it. But one thing that I notice about that, right? I notice a lot of non-affiliated, non-gang affiliated white people were sort of cheering this whole entire process, right? They're like, oh yeah, brother, the Hell's Angels are gonna go out there and they're gonna go show these trendy Aragua guys. Now here's the thing. If that was a minority gang, if that was a black gang, a Mexican gang, or an Asian gang, or an Arab gang, or whatever type of gang, I guarantee you that the feds would be all over them and place federal indictments and interstate federal prosecutions against them, right? But I'm just saying that I think there's a disproportionate biasness towards white criminality as opposed to, let's say, criminality from other groups of people. But, you know, that's neither here or there, just a little opinion of mine. Number 4 says, I'm actually from Buffalo, New York, but live in Colorado Springs now. Okay, so basically, you know, almost similar to my story. I grew up in, you know, the East Coast and then came out here in the West. So, you know, a new journey for everybody in that regard. So here we go.
I thought he would beat Max. I just didn't think he would knock him out.
Yeah, well, me neither. But
yeah. That, by the way, that's surprising. Max Holloway getting knocked out by Ilia Topuria. But again, it shows you the kind of level that Ilia Topuria is at, right? Which is why it's very difficult to match him right now. Now, here's the thing, right? He vacated his belt. Is it for no reason? Is it for just out of vain now? Because it's not a guarantee that he's going to get the Islam Makhachev fight, and obviously make of that as you will.
Neither here nor there. If he does something like that, the payoff is going to be dramatic. Or if Islam goes in there and subs him or something with that famous short arm Darce, dude, can you imagine the memes that are gonna be produced from this? Tell me how.
Wait, so in other words, I think what Luke may be hinting at is there could be a possibility that this fight can actually happen between Islam and Ilia Topuria, because Islam complained saying that, you know what, I don't want to fight another 145er. I want to get in there and fight another, you know, 155er. What is the point and purpose of this, right? So. I don't know, but maybe he will, because you know what, he's running out of options, and I did make a video about that on the video section of this channel, where I do talk about how he really doesn't have a lot of options in this current moment of time. Ryan Bender says, Ilia versus Islam, Jones versus Tom, it's that simple. Man, how I wish, right? And put it all in one card. Now, I saw all these fake fight posters that have Tom and John, Ilia and Islam in the same card. Now imagine how explosive that card will be, right? And I know you guys will be here for the live stream, just like, inshallah, I hope you guys will be here for the live stream tomorrow when we, yeah. Max Weller says, what up, Spanky? What's up, Spanky, Max Weller number 2?
Lose in either case here.
I mean, dude, people are going to make fun of him hard no matter what. I put a poll in the chat, by the way. What should we call Ilia Topuria? I put El Matador, La Leyenda, Topuria, and Hand Sanitizer Boy. And overwhelmed.
Now, do you guys know where the hand sanitizer reference comes from? Him and Patty got into a street fight in a London hotel, and I think they threw one of the parties threw a hand sanitizer at Patty, and then ever since then, Patty, with his Liverpool UK accent, he's like, mate, he's Mr. Hand Sanitizer. I don't know why he threw a hand sanitizer my way. I was just over here trying to eat me eggs, mate.
Oh, man, 43% picked hand sanitizer for us. So majority of people already trolling him with this. By the way, La Leyenda, the least 8%. So
it's the worst. It's the worst nickname. Like,
so Max Weller asks, will O'Malley versus Merab 2 be competitive? Man, you know what? I don't know, man. The only way that it will be competitive, look, the homeostasis of the fight, meaning that the current rinse and repeat flow of the fight will be the same. Merab shooting in for a takedown, O'Malley getting taken down. The only thing that would offset that particular rhythm is if he knocks him out dead right there on the spot. right? So that's the only way it'll be competitive. Now, is Sean O'Malley capable of doing so? Yeah. He's a tall, long striker for 135. He's definitely capable of knocking anybody out. But I'm just surprised that this is the next course that they are taking. Because I think if Omar was to win that fight and he was a 135 champion right now, yeah, they would immediately go to a Sean O'Malley because he's the biggest name in 135 right now. So he's about to get smashed by Chandler. Who's that? Are you talking about who is Chandler fighting next? Who is Chandler fighting next? Who is Oh, Paddy Pimblett. Oh, yes, yes. Okay, so we're talking about Paddy Pimblett. Okay, okay. He was landing well to the body round 5. That could be the key to the fight. Yes, yes. So it was like one of those things where it was a little too late, right? It was a little too late because it's like he should have done that in the first round, but he didn't, and for whatever reason, he just started getting the momentum in the 5th round. Again, very similar to the Diaz brother versus Leon Edwards, right? Is there any mosque next to you? Oh, yeah, yeah. There's a lot in California. In fact, the one of the live streams that I did, I went to the mosque while I was... Let me see what episode that was. I can show you, or you can see it yourself on the live stream. It was, yes, it was Dana White triggered old boxing guards. That was 13 days ago, so 2 weeks ago. Dana White triggered by old boxing guards. So yeah, it's 1 hour and 20 minutes long if you want to check it out. I went to the oldest mosque in the United States, which is in 1947. It was built out here in Sacramento on V Street. So El-Kheer bank from your place. You are near a mosque. So you are near a bank from your place? Or I'm not understanding what you are saying. Maybe there's a few grammatical errors there that perhaps maybe you may want to clarify. Do you mean that if I go to any mosque near me? Well, you know what? I'm actually going to a mosque pretty soon. It is Friday prayer. By the way, thanks for reminding me. So I think the call of prayer. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so check that out. Dana White triggered by old boxing guards. 13 days ago, I feature the mosque there. So again, this is what you're going to get out of this stream, the most epic mixed martial arts channel in the history of mankind, because not only do I come and take you to my training sessions, not only do I take you to the mosque with me, I show you around all these different places that I'm at, whether it's in LA, whether it's in Sacramento, or worldwide. So can you hear the call of prayers from your place? No, 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 no. It's not that close to me. Not that close to me at all. I live in an area that's, just nothing but suburbs and houses and, near a farmland. But I live literally 5 minutes from the city, which is really interesting about Sacramento. You live in an area where it is country, it is rural, it is suburban, but then 10 minutes down the road, it's the downtown city of Sacramento where the Kings play. So that's a really interesting piece of land that I that I live around. So
it's terrible. I don't know. Dude, El Matador was fucking cool. You know what I mean?
It was cool, dude. I mean,
like
look,
when they were, dude. Remember the UFC did that bit where they had him in the bullfighting ring? I think they had him with Legaspi, the Mexican ESPN reporter, and like, dude.
Now I do like that image of Ilia Topuria sort of playing up the Spanish stereotype of being a bullfighter. Even though Ilia Topuria is not Spanish, it sounds like a Spanish name, right? Ilia Topuria. Italian maybe, but obviously he's Georgian, but he fits in well with Spain. He has that look about him. Ilia Topuria has this like soccer star look about him, right? And I think that's sort of what makes him very marketable in that degree.
They had the whole imagery around it. I was like, this is sick. Like, why would you pass on that? I don't get it.
Did you see where he also came out publicly and said that he doesn't believe there will be a UFC Spain card until the end of the ESPN deal because
so he says here, here people hear the prayer and then they break their fast. So how you break your fast? The phone. The phone. I look at the phone. I'm like, oh, okay, so this is the time right here. And then when I stop my fast, we sort of, you know, the phone too, but then we sort of do it in our own accord where we look outside and see if there's enough sunlight or lack of, and then we just go from there. But yeah, it is interesting to live in a country where, you know, you can hear the call of prayer and whatnot. So
he's unwilling. He said he fought at early in the morning, Leon Edwards time, in Abu Dhabi once, and he won't do it again. And he's unwilling to fight at 4 or 5 a.m. local Spain time, which ESPN would necessitate for it to be a prime time pay-per-view.
So let me say this: I did see that. I'm glad you brought it up. Let me just say this, and I think I speak for a lot of our fans. I don't say that normally, but in this case, I do. Whatever they do in their next broadcast deal, UFC, whether they stay with ESPN, whether they go to Netflix, whatever they do, I wish and I hope that they have the freedom to put on fights in prime times in the markets that they're going to. Now, we know that we do that in Saudi Arabia. We know they do that in Abu Dhabi. But Europe gets fucked on this. And I just think it'd be... Dude, I mean, just think about this. Like, Connor's off in a different place in his career. We started the show talking about it. And he did get to fight in Ireland, but he never got to fight in Croke Park. And I do think that that was a miss by UFC. And, you know, it's hard to make all that work.
yeah, that's interesting, right? Yeah, for all the European fight fans, let me know what that is like for you waking up very early in the morning or late at night to watch the fights. I've done live streams. If you want to check out the live stream that I did for the Bilal Muhammad Leon Edwards UFC 304 Manchester card, I had a UK guy co-host with me, and man, that brother was sleeping like this in the middle of a live stream, right? You guys check it out. It's quite funny and very candid for, you know, for a stream. So hold on just a second. Okay, so sorry about that. Had to address something there real quick. Okay, so we have a church, mosque, and temple of Odin in just 3 kilometers. Okay, so
Can I understand? It's not like the...
so let me see here. Let me see. Okay, so yeah, I got about a couple of minutes left. We'll do just a few more. Let's see how far we can go here. We'll go for about another 20 minutes, and then we'll go from here. Okay.
Most important thing, but it would have been cool, and it definitely would be cool if Topuria ends up winning and, you know, continues his rise, like getting him at the Bernabeu, which is like a really important.
Or look, Aspinall and Wembley Stadium, like this is a...
John Patrick says, Jesus loves you. Yes, Jesus loves everybody, and Jesus is the prophet of Allah and one of his messengers. Jeremy 2.09 says, remember me. Yes, of course, man. How are you, Jeremy? Nice to see you here.
What kind of shit we want and deserve.
That's what I'm saying. To give them the freedom to put those in prime time so you can make that a little bit easier. I really feel like the European market, we should just say, and we talked about it before, the European market is fucking hot. If PFL can go over there and sell 15,000 tickets, it's hot, bro.
Wow. Okay, so that's crazy. You know what? The European market is really big for MMA outside of the UFC. Now, what about that organization Octagon, right? That's a big organization out there. Obviously, Cage Warriors has their own fitting in you know, in the local regional scenes of, let's say, UK and France. So John Patrick says, Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. He is the only one who rose from the dead. And then Adrian says, I disagree. Jesus is Lord. Well, of course, you know, that is where our differences are when it comes to Jesus, right? But one thing what we all agree upon as Muslims and Christians is that Jesus will return on the last day, right? And only then we will find out what is what. So
it's hot. Get those shows in prime time there so we can really do something about it, you know?
I'm ready for the ESPN era to be over, and I do get, we brought it up before, that part of our issues with the UFC could have been fueled by ESPN wanting a card every weekend and really wanting in the terms of that deal to have so many dates, which has completely watered down the product. But, you know, I'm secretly hoping that UFC doesn't get the money they thought they were going to get from this new TV deal and has to go in and maybe have a little bit less amount of content and dates and the motivation to come out and really shine. I mean, I don't know what that's going to look like. I think they'll get paid no matter what. We still think Netflix or Prime will be, you know, two of the big potential suitors here. But, like, what this has become at the tail end of the ESPN era is not what we wanted.
Baba Yaga. What does that mean? Let me know what that means.
Signed up for, especially it's such a departure from where they were during and post-COVID. They were, you know, the heroes for being the only show in town, but like the momentum, they were on fire, man. And that's just not the case anymore.
Well, like I said, I think it'd be exciting if they can just, dude, putting events in prime time in the markets that they're in.
John Wick, okay. And then John Patrick says, what if you believe wrong and it's too late for you to change your beliefs at his second coming? Well, I tell you what, I'm very firm in my belief as you are, and there's reasons for why I may be firm in my belief and things of that nature. Night and Day says, do you think Khamzat will remain undefeated like Khabib? That's very hard to say. Okay, I'm going to say yes. Okay, only because right now I just don't see really beating him. Right? So, I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes. Unless, of course, he does something ballsy, like tries to move up to 205. But, yeah, I think if he does, you know, it'll probably be, you know, it'll probably be a very limited time if he moves up. And if so, it's going to be a challenge that is doable for him. You know, something that is of a reality within his realm of being able to accomplish, right? Something that is within his capabilities, not something that he would step out of line for that would be so very risky that, you know, he'll end up losing. Like, I mean, let's say if he fights John Jones, he moves up all the way to heavyweight. John Jones, there it is, yeah. John Jones, hypothetical fight, who would win? I don't know, man. I don't know if I would give that one to Khamzat, right? But then again, Khamzat is a once-in-a-lifetime athlete that could surprise us all. So I don't know. I don't know if I would give him John Jones. And I don't know if I would advise it if I was his manager.
And also, not for nothing, I like it when they go to Europe.
Number 4 says JJ ragdolls him. Of course, I could see that. I could see a scenario where that happens. And again, that's why I think that that's not really a place where John Jones is going to try and fight at, right? What about Tom Aspinall? If Khamzat fights Tom Aspinall, yeah, no. I don't believe in that. I don't believe at all. Yeah, so yeah, I don't see how that would be possible. It would be even more impossible just based on the sheer size of him alone. But again, you never know. Khamzat is a once-in-a-lifetime athlete. Baba Yaga is a Russian word, means old witch. Wow, okay. So here we are. Khabib, okay, who he forgives his sins. Okay. Khabib versus John Jones at 205, who would win? Man, I'd have to give that one to John Jones. Here in America, he can pray to whoever he wants. Correct. Yes. That is one thing about America, right? Is yes, we have a freedom of religion here. Okay, so all right. With that in mind, I will call it quits from here, guys. I may have to head out right now. I will see you guys in the next live stream. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Watch from the very beginning to end because I got some jewels here that you guys would love to see. So, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I will see you guys in the next one, inshallah.